Time for overtime.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
In the world of sports, it's all about the playmakers in today's headlines, from locals to the pros, with interviews from local standouts and sports all-stars across the country that will have you talking.
He'll shoot, and he hits it at the buzzer.
Hear from coaches to players, sports analysts, and broadcasters who are a part of the action every day. Overtime, now with Bert Ramin on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
We are off and running on a Friday edition of Overtime. They don't make weekends like this all too often, people. If you don't have a tee time booked, if you don't have a reservation with your couch, or a reservation outside doing the garden, working on the yard, having some fun, I don't know what to tell you. You better hit the links, you better be outside, or be firmly glued to your couch and absorb this Masters coverage that is amazing on ESPN right now. Great stuff across the board, featured groups available via streaming. It is quite the weekend, and the best part of it all, got a big opportunity with Sioux Falls Golf, with great life, with all the great local golf courses here in the 605 to get out and swing the sticks a little bit yourself as well. I'm going to try to do that Saturday or Sunday, although we will wait and see. It's a great weekend ahead, and of course, the Friday edition of Overtime brings a cornucopia of blessings to you and yours. Your opportunity to win big with the High Noon Showdown, with the Friday Parlay, Twins tickets in the Parlay, and in the Showdown, I got a pair of Whiskey Myers tickets up for grabs today. Next week on the show, we've got some UFC tickets coming to town. We got some LFA MMA, not UFC, LFA MMA coming to town, coming up at the end of the month. That's NFL Draft Weekend, as I call it. But Friday, April the 26th, LFA MMA is coming to Sioux Falls. I got tickets to win beginning next week on the show. We got all sorts of goodies for you coming up in the next few weeks on the program, including I'm going to try to pinpoint all 6 of our area teams, chat with some experts, chat with some personalities from ESPN, from SB Nation, and everything in between about this NFL draft. I want to get a Broncos perspective, a Kansas City Chiefs perspective, Bears, Lions, everything across the board that pertains to our local sports scene in the National Football League. I want to have it covered. I want to dot the I's and cross the T's for the NFL draft that is just under 2 weeks away. I've already started filling up the schedule. We got a great 2 weeks lined up for you in preparation for the NFL draft. Coming up here in the show, Creighton men's soccer head coach Johnny Torres, along with Yavapai out of Arizona, putting on a heck of a camp this weekend, and more than one. It's a coaches camp, coaches clinic. It's a youth sports soccer camp, and also a match between the two men's soccer programs from Creighton and Yavapai of Arizona. For more information, sanfordsports.com/events, but we'll be talking the Creighton side of things, get a little backstory on the camp that is being put on tomorrow at the Sanford Sports Complex. Again, more information and to register, sanfordsports.com/events. Creighton men's soccer head coach Johnny Torres joins us in about 20 minutes on today's show. 11:30, I don't want to leave you guys in the dark with your Masters coverage. Of course, you're listening to the radio. Hopefully you got the Masters on in your office or at home if you're one of those lucky enough to work from home these days. Tiger Woods right back at it. We'll get you an update on the latest and greatest scores, and it's now a 2-way tie atop the leaderboard from the Masters. It was DeChambeau overnight, and that has changed with another relatively young golfer making a good start to his day. 2 under today, 7 under is the best score at present from down in Augusta. Later on in hour number 1, the latest from the National Football League. Draft previews today. We're knocking out 2 teams per day per show. The Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers are up to bat today with your NFL draft previews at noon on a Friday. You know what time it is. It's the High Noon Showdown, brought to you by the all-new specialty Uncle Ed's Meats. And the High Noon Showdown and headlines coming up at noon. Friday Parlay Live, 12:20, 12:30. Some much-anticipated and long overdue talk with RJ Ochoa. I'm excited to have RJ on the show because he has been very candid in his criticism of the team that he covers, the Dallas Cowboys, their inability to do just about anything this offseason in free agency, at least the first big wave and the second receding wave of free agency. Now you're into the pre-draft, post-draft free agency sweepstakes. Ezekiel Elliott's still out there for the taking. Maybe a reunion makes sense. Definitely not a feature back anymore. But the Dallas Cowboys all of a sudden have a lot of holes on a roster that is definitely championship worthy in the NFC, maybe championship worthy, Super Bowl worthy at some point during next season. We'll talk all things Dallas Cowboys with RJ Ochoa, the manager and editor-in-chief of Blogging the Boys, at around 12:30. And then we send you packing on your Friday with the latest and greatest from the good, the bad, and the ugly. The NHL season is winding down. We just have a few teams left to eliminate from playoff contention. Here's the three finals from last night. We start in Pittsburgh, where the Penguins get a win in a very high-scoring game, 6-5 the final.
Crosby wins the battle. He's got the puck. Crosby sets it up high. Carlson blasts. He scores! Eric Carlson in overtime.
Carlson with the overtime winner, taking down Detroit 6-5. Sidney Crosby also 1,000 career assists notched in last night's contest. The new record for Pittsburgh still alive in postseason contention, 37-30-12. Audio there courtesy of WXOX. Elsewhere, Winnipeg and Dallas tussling down in Big D, and it was the Jets notching the W.
Appleton back for the line. Sandberg shooting. They score! Dylan Sandberg, I think it ticked off a stick of one of the Dallas Stars, and Winnipeg will lead it 2-0.
Lastly, last night, the LA Kings were home to Calgary. No problem for LA, a dominant 4-1 win.
Sharon Govich feeds it down low, tipped into the middle, but picked off, cleared, score! Bullseye! Victor Arvidsson.
4-1 the final there. KLAC, the audio, 42-26-11, the new record for the LA Kings. Tonight in the NHL, Hurricanes at Blues, 7 o'clock on the NHL Network leads us off. Later on in the evening, 7:30, Predators at Blackhawks, ESPN+. Coyotes at Oilers, 8 o'clock. Wild at Golden Knights, 9. Flames at Ducks, same time. All of those contests can be streamed on ESPN+. Before we dive into the NBA, latest conference standings in the NHL, Boston Bruins just 3 games to go, 107 points atop the Eastern Conference Atlantic Division, trailed in the division by Florida and Toronto. All 3 of those teams have locked up a playoff spot, as has Tampa Bay. And look out for the Lightning. We talked with Anna Dua a couple weeks ago about just how dangerous that team is. Tampa playing pretty darn well, 6-2-2 in their last 10. They're through 79 games, 96 overall points. They are in the playoffs. Still 5 teams really to eliminate down the stretch. Detroit still alive, 38-32-9. They've got 85 points, same number of points as the Capitals and the Flyers at present. Pittsburgh Penguins with 86 and the Islanders with 89. Islanders are in the driver's seat for the 3rd spot in the Metro side of that Eastern Conference. Rangers and Hurricanes in that order atop that division. Out to the Western Conference, just about everything set there, but still a battle for the final wild card spot. Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado in the Central, Vancouver, Edmonton, and the LA Kings in the Pacific. And then the wild card battle right now, Nashville's locked up a playoff spot, and you also have Vegas as well as the St. Louis Blues still alive. Vegas up 3 points on St. Louis right now. St. Louis has 3 games to go, Vegas with 4. So it looks like it'll be the Vegas Golden Knights back in the postseason once again. On to the NBA now, where things get interesting and more interesting by the day. First things first, Chicago picks up a 127-105 win in Detroit last night. The New York Knicks take down Boston, although Boston not really playing their hardest. The New York Knicks get Boston down early, force them to pull the starters there. Jalen Brunson, 39 points. Still a quality win for a Knicks team that's headed to the playoffs, 48-32. Elsewhere, Golden State over Portland, 100-92 the final last night.
They can run another 7 seconds with 1:10 to go. Chris Paul gets the screen from Pajewski. Left wing, pull up, triple. Boomer Knights This one's over. 190. It's a left wing three for Chris Paul.
100-92 would be the final. Golden State boosts their record to 45-35. That's 95.7 the game with the audio. And lastly here from the NBA, tongue-in-cheek fun moment last night for Kevin Harlan, who is my current favorite broadcaster regardless of the sport. He's a must-listen. He's a must-watch when he's on TV. And last night, we've all heard of people throwing chicken wings on the floor in terms of banging down low and throwing an elbow into an opponent, throwing the old chicken wing at somebody. But someone last night had a little bit of a different variation and definition of throwing a chicken wing on the floor.
Williamson's got it. Pelicans hold on. Driving into Murray. Somebody's throwing something on the floor. 46 seconds to go and a whistle blew. It's a chicken wing. Why would someone throw something that good out on the floor? It's crispy. It's warm.
Yes.
And I almost had to go out and I'm so hungry.
I hear your stomach over here growling.
What's that guy? I hope he eats it.
Talk about theater of the mind for Kevin Harlan. Always top notch. I remember back in the NFL days a couple years ago, he was calling two games at once in the postseason, calling off the monitor as to what was happening in another game while he was calling another game, or the black cat on the football field. Whatever it is, he is an incredible broadcaster, and he nailed it right on the head with the broadcaster starvation, by the way, because having a long play-by-play history myself, I got to tell you, people think that broadcasters and those folks are extremely well-fed. There are media meals. There are great food options out there. But as a guy that's going to be sitting down, high stress, wanting to get it right, talking for 3-4 hours straight, dotting your I's, not trying to get food all over your spotting boards and everything like that, generally speaking, and I'm speaking for myself and a lot of other broadcasters that I know, it is a hunger game. Going through a game of any kind, sure, you can stock up after, maybe before if you're a couple hours early, but you don't want to be eating, you don't want to be drinking soda pop before you go on the air because you don't want to have the burpees on the air as a broadcaster. Kevin Harlan, definitely truthful in saying that he is starving and thinking about that chicken wing thrown on the floor last night in Sacramento. Unfortunately for the Kings, chicken wing delay did not lead to a win. New Orleans wins in Sacramento 135-123. Pels are 48-32. Tonight in the NBA, Magic at Sixers get us going at 6 o'clock. Bulls at Wizards, same time. 7 o'clock start time for the Timberwolves home to Atlanta. Grizzlies home to the Lakers, same time. Bucks at Thunder. That's a big game. 7 o'clock on NBA TV. Nuggets visit the Spurs. 7 o'clock as well. Pelicans at Warriors, 9. And Suns at Kings, 9:30 on NBA TV. Now for your latest standings from the NBA. Eastern Conference first. Boston has notched your number one seed. 62-18. Dominant season for them in the regular season, hoping for some postseason success. They are 13 games better than Milwaukee, 14 games better than the New York Knicks, and 15 games better than the four-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers. 5-6 is the Magic and Pacers, still within striking distance for the Sixers to make some noise. Philly has won 6 games in a row as they chase Indiana and Orlando, looking to play their way out of the play-in 4. Right now in that order in the Eastern Conference, 7 through 10, Sixers, Heat, Bulls, Hawks, and out to the West, Denver, Minnesota, and OKC. All three of those teams in a dogfight down the stretch for the top seed. Denver 1 game better than Minnesota and OKC right now. Again, Minnesota, if they win both, Denver and OKC lose one apiece of their final 2 games. Minnesota will be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. It's not a long shot, not a certainty. It's somewhere in between, but Denver, with a relatively favorable schedule, they've got matchups against San Antonio and Memphis the rest of the way. Definitely a pair of very winnable games. And Denver fans out there and Michael Malone, the head coach, should be very prepared to win those 2 games and go ahead and earn that home court advantage throughout the Western Conference playoffs. Denver 1, Minnesota 2, OKC 3 at present. Clippers, Mavericks, and Pelicans on the inside out of that play-in round. Play-in round, it's Phoenix, Sacramento, Golden State, and the Lakers in that order. But things will get very interesting there in terms of seeding because right now, Sacramento, Golden State, and the LA Lakers, all three have the exact same record with just 2 games to go in all 3 of those teams regular seasons. That's the final 10. All 10 teams in both conferences have officially been solidified. That's the latest standings update from the NBA. Over the weekend, gear up for the WNBA draft. That is Monday, April the 15th. And on to Major League Baseball. Bad news for the Twins. Not only did they not get to play yesterday, but one particular team in that AL Central is playing very, very impressive baseball. And surprisingly, it's the team down in Kansas City.
The pitch. Swing and a high fly ball. Deep right center. Their center fielder's back. He's looking up, and that ball's out of here. And opposite field, 3-run homer for Bobby Witt Jr. 13-3 KC. A 2-home run day for Bobby. A 4-hit day. And it's all Royals on this Thursday, 13-3.
7 straight wins for Kansas City. They win 13-3 over Houston. Their new record 9-4 on the season. That audio courtesy of KCSP 610. Today and tonight in Major League Baseball, Twins at Tigers start the series. 5:40 the start time. 5 o'clock is our pregame coverage right here along the Minnesota Twins radio network. Elsewhere, Brewers at Orioles 6:05. Rockies at Blue Jays same time. Later on this evening, Royals at Mets. Yankees at Guardians. Reds at White Sox. Cardinals at Diamondbacks. Cubs at Mariners tonight, 8:40 the start time on Apple TV+. NFL Draft looms in less than 2 weeks, people. April 25th through the 27th from Detroit. NASCAR race this weekend at Texas, Sunday, 2:30. Fox Sports 1 with the broadcast. And an update on the Masters continuing from Augusta. And by the way, I'm a little bit salty on this because it completely pertains to Tiger Woods. But when you have a weather delay at the Masters, I got to tell you, I feel like it's pretty darn unfair for those people that tee off later in the day that have to split their round, come back the next morning, finish round 1, start up round 2. Unfortunately, Tiger Woods is one of those guys, but here's the latest update on how Tiger finished up day 1 from Andy North.
I think probably he's pretty pleased. I think we saw some smiles after he hit some shots. He made a lot of really good swings. The greens he missed, a bunch of them were really good shots that the wind didn't take it or took it too much. So all in all, I think he's probably positive what's going to happen.
Max Homa, Bryson DeChambeau atop the leaderboard right now at 7 under par. Right there with him, Scotty Scheffler at 6 under. Other big names atop the leaderboard, Cameron Young, Danny Willett, Ryan Fox, Corey Connors. Making your way down, Tiger Woods finished his round at 1 over and is now even on the day in his second round. Tiger Woods right now looks to be 6 holes in on his second round of the Masters this season. That's the update from the Masters for now. UFL football over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Pair of games each day at 12 o'clock noon. Tomorrow, Defenders at Renegades, 6 o'clock on Saturday night on Fox. Showboats at the Stallions. Other matchups Sunday, Roughnecks at Panthers, Battlehawks at Brahmas, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock on Sunday on ABC. Can't leave out the college hockey. Frozen Four got going yesterday on the men's side. Denver in overtime punches their way as the 3 seed on to the national championship game. 2-1 overtime winner over second-seeded Boston. And Boston College blanks Michigan 4-0. So it's Denver and Boston College, 5 o'clock ESPN2 for all of the marbles on Saturday afternoon. And you heard it here first. I got the Friday parlay still to post later on in hour number 2. I'll make you pick that game, Denver and Boston College, for the national championship of men's college hockey D1, Saturday night, 5 o'clock on ESPN2. Well, we mentioned this yesterday on the program as we crank open your Reliabank headlines of the day for hour number 2. Two-time defending FCS national champion South Dakota State football will wrap up spring practices on Saturday with the program's annual spring game. Action is set to begin at 10:30 tomorrow morning at the Sanford Jackrabbit Athletic Complex. The spring game will consist of 2 25-minute halves on Saturday morning with a running clock and a brief halftime period. The squad will be split into offense and defense with quarterbacks wearing blue, and the defense will start the game with a 17-0 lead. The spring game will be broadcast by Jackrabbit Sports Network flagship station 570 WNAX AM with live updates coming via Twitter. That Twitter account to follow is always GoJacksFB. And again, a lot going on there. There is no cost to enter and no admission fee will be charged for the spring game up in Brookings. 24th rated Augustana baseball team takes a 7-game win streak on the road for a 3-game 2-game series at Winona State. The teams will play a doubleheader tomorrow starting at 1:30 before a single game that is slated to start at noon on Sunday. Complete action for Augie baseball. Follow along on goaugie.com/live. And South Dakota State Jackrabbit baseball continues its softball slate this weekend when the Jackrabbits take on North Dakota State. The Jackson Bison are scheduled to begin a 3-game series starting at noon tomorrow. Doubleheader opens the series with the final game taking place at 11 o'clock a.m. on Sunday. The two sides met 4 times during last season in Brookings. SDSU swept the regular season series at Jackrabbit Softball Stadium by scores of 4-0, 12-3, and 1-0. SDSU and NDSU then faced off an elimination game at the Summit League Softball Championship, which the Jackrabbits won in 5 innings, 10-2. Excited for that weekend series, South Dakota State and North Dakota State. A lot to look forward to there. We'll be chatting with head coach Christina McSweeney next week on the show. More accolades rolling in for Mark Gronowski, but it's not something on the football field that impressed today, but it's in the classroom. South Dakota State quarterback Mark Gronowski was honored yesterday as a Scholar Athlete of the Year by the Football Championship Subdivision Athletic Directors Association. Gronowski and Abilene Christian defensive back Anthony Egbo Jr. were selected out of a field of 8 finalists and 52 FCS ADA Academic All-Star Team honorees to receive a $5,000 postgraduate scholarship. SDSU linebacker Adam Bach was included in the list of those receiving academic all-star recognition, but Mark Gronowski, one of just 2 to be selected as a Scholar Athlete of the Year by the FCS Athletic Directors Association. Good news over the weekend for Minnesota Timberwolves fans. Karl Anthony Towns will be back, expected to make his return at home tonight against the Atlanta Hawks. Towns, who underwent surgery 4 weeks ago, was officially upgraded to questionable for Friday's game, cleared for full contact 5-on-5 basketball activities earlier in the week on Tuesday. The Timberwolves close out the regular season tonight against the Hawks and against the Suns on Sunday before going down. Karl Anthony Towns having a resurgent season, 22 points, 8 rebounds per game, over 50% shooting from the field, and 42+% from downtown. Timberwolves are 11-6, pretty darn good since Towns went down with the injury, and are currently tied with OKC, just 1 game behind Denver in the Western Conference standings. All 3 teams in that dogfight at the top of the Western Conference, just 2 games remaining in all of their regular seasons. Now, lastly, we close out your Reliabank headlines of the day here for hour number 1, talking more about Caitlin Clark. She's having a significant impact on the WNBA even before her arrival and the announcement of her destination. Clark, the transcendent Iowa star and presumptive first overall pick in Monday's WNBA draft, is driving an uptick in interest and ticket prices to see the Indiana Fever, which hold the number 1 overall selection coming up on Monday. The Fever, second to last in WNBA home attendance last season, averaging just over 4,000 fans per game, would only confirm a spike in ticket interest, declining to comment on specifics, but the team is responding to the surge in interest by taking the unprecedented step of pre-selling single-game tickets to 2 games per day over a 15-day stretch heading into Monday. At ticket platform SeatGeek, the average Fever resale price for home games is currently $182. That is a 136% increase from last season. She's not even there yet, and Caitlin Clark already making ripples out there in Indianapolis with likely, her future team with Aaliyah Boston with the Indiana Fever. Those are your Reliabank headlines of the day for hour number 1. When we come back, quite the soccer camp, quite the unique experience for coaches, youth players, and of course the players for the respective universities. Yavapai from Arizona, Creighton men's soccer from down in Omaha. They collide this weekend, but it's all for a great cause. Creighton men's soccer head coach Johnny Torres joins us next to talk about the camp, talk about his experience, and what it means to Sioux Falls moving forward. That's next on Overtime.
It's so convenient. Sports on the go. Download the free app now. This is ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right Right back with you on this Friday edition of Overtime, hour number 1. Thanks so much for tuning us in this week. We got a big event coming to Sioux Falls this weekend, Saturday, for all you soccer fans out there. If you wanted to go out and see some prime soccer action at the collegiate level, Creighton men's soccer will be in town, as well as Yavapai of Arizona men's soccer programs. They're going to duke it out on Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. kickoff at the Sanford complex. But really, that's only the icing on the cake, because we got a great day of kids clinics, coaches clinics going on, put on by Creighton and Yavapai. And joining us now on the ESPN hotline is Creighton men's soccer head coach Johnny Torres, year number 6 as the head coach down there in Omaha. Very accomplished player, both at the university, in the conference, and professionally. Now into the coaching ranks, year number 6. Coach, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good, Bert. Thanks for having me. We're super excited to be able to come down and make some new friends down in Sioux Falls.
Hey, we're really excited to have you, and I know that that a lot of fans and kids out here in the 605 and the surrounding area are gearing up for the camp. For more information, by the way, on the camp, including registration, sanfordsports.com. Kids camp 10 a.m. to noon tomorrow on Saturday. Coaches clinic from noon to 1 at the Sanford complex, and then 3 p.m. the kickoff between Creighton and Yavapai in the afternoon. Coach, let's talk about your team first and foremost. We'll dive into the camp and the details and everything about that. But how is your team looking? You guys are still gearing up for next season and the schedule coming together. How's everything going down in Creighton?
It's going well. I think we're in week 10 now of our second semester, spring soccer, and the guys are gearing up. The group's coming together. We're going to have a lot of additions coming up, and it's all about trying to get some understanding and some camaraderie, and I think we're excited to be able to see an old friend, Chris Hauser, and play against some talents from Yavapai.
And we're looking forward to having you here in Sioux Falls. And one of the big draws, of course, is going to be this kids clinic. It's going to be run by your staff and your players, as well as the players from Yavapai, 10 a.m. to noon at the Sanford complex, ages 7 to 13. It's $65 per camper, and it's a Saturday 9:40 check-in for a 10 o'clock a.m. start time. Tell us about the camp and the opportunity to reach so many young people this year.
You know, obviously, we're blessed to be able to play this beautiful sport, and this sport is global, right? Everybody from all walks of life plays it all over the globe. And, you know, it was an idea that was birthed by Chris Hauser, being that he's from Sioux Falls, and he said, I'd love to be able to give back to my community. And I thought it was a brilliant idea, and what a way to come out and make some new friends for the Creighton folks, to be able to bring out the youth and enjoy some quality college soccer as well.
And we're looking forward to having you, and I know there's a lot of youth kids out there looking forward to the camp coming up tomorrow, ages 7 through 13, again, $65 per camper. The best place to go to register and find more information, simply sanfordsports.com. Just click on that events tab, and you'll find it in a hurry. Coach Johnny Torres is our guest here on the Friday edition of Overtime, ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO. Coach, you mentioned, obviously, the sport is played around the world, very popular. It's been popular, but in the United States, obviously, it continues to move forward and surge in popularity. I want to ask you about your playing career and when you fell in love with the game, because the cool part about youth sports and giving back is you're all starting a dream for young people out there and giving them opportunities that you once had. So take us back to when you were young and how you fell in love with the game.
Yeah, you know, so I was born in Medellin, Colombia, back in 1976, and, you know, I had a lot of uncles who played it, a couple of aunts who played, and so basically soccer's been in my blood since the moment I was able to start walking, and so it was always a passion of mine. It was always a dream of mine to be able to play professionally, but quite honestly, the opportunity came about to play collegiately, which obviously now looking back, I understand it's very, very important. So when you compare academics with the sport and be able to do it side by side, it's just, to me, it's the cherry on top, right? So fortunately for me, I was able to play at Creighton for 4 years and get my degree, and I was able to play a little bit of pro soccer for 11 years. Started out with the New England Revolution and played some national team as well, which is where I met Chris Hauser. We both were able to go out to Italy for the World University Games with our U23 national team, and then played against each other when he was on Tampa Bay Mutiny and I was playing for the Revolution. But you know, it's beautiful when your life goes full circle, and now we're in a position where we can give back a little bit, both as a coach with our collegiate teams and obviously giving back to our communities and our surrounding communities. And so we're really, really excited about this event and looking forward to a great weekend with the folks down in Sioux Falls.
Looking forward to having you as well. Again, it's Creighton and it's Yavapai coming up from Arizona. Men's soccer programs will play a 3 p.m. kickoff tomorrow on Saturday. Also earlier in the day, a coach's free clinic ran by both staffs. That's going to be noon to 1. Kids clinic begins at 10. That runs to noon. All of that at the Sanford complex. You mentioned giving back, opportunities for youth sports. Sanford and Sanford Sports does a great job of that in our area, Coach. When it comes to youth sports and reaching out to the kids, it's got to be pretty energizing, right? Being around the young people. I know you're around college kids, so that's pretty energetic by itself. But when you get around the younger kids, ages 7 through 13, that's got to be pretty darn fun too, right?
It's amazing. It's amazing. It takes you back to why you started playing, right? And it brings you back to the joy that the sport gives you. And to be able to see it in its infancy when you're hanging out with some of the youth, it just makes it that much more special.
And, of course, we're looking forward to it immensely. Creighton soccer last year, record of 4-7-6. And head coach Johnny Torres is our guest here on the Friday edition of Overtime. Coach, I want to ask you, last year I was looking at the schedule and the results for you. You guys had a couple wins over ranked opponents last year. How are things coming together and shaping up for this year for Creighton men's soccer?
You know, we played some good football last year in spurts, unfortunately. Quite a bit of ties, games that could have gone our way. And so, you know, we struggled putting it together, and I think we're a little bit hungover from the year previous when we made it to the Final Four and lost to the eventual national champions of Syracuse. But I think we're gearing up nicely. I think there was a lot of learning points from last season, and we're hoping that we could be quick learners and be able to come out and prove ourselves in 24.
And lastly, of course, Coach, before we let you go, it's a blast to have you and feature your program, talk about your season. You got another program coming into town that you're kind of in conjunction with, and this is a unique event. Of course, your players will be helping put on the kids clinic, your coaches working together to put on the coaches clinic. What do you know about Yavapai, and what do you respect so much about that program that you'll face off with tomorrow here in Sioux Falls?
Well, Yavapai is a traditioned program, and they're nationally one of the well-known JUCO programs in the country. Now, when you pair that with a hell of a coach and Chris Hauser, a guy that knows his game, is very diligent about the way he trains his players. I think it's going to be a great show for the people that are able to attend.
And, of course, we're all looking forward to it. This event, and it's a 3-part event. Kids Clinic tomorrow, 10 to noon at the Sanford Complex. More information, sanfordsports.com/events. And then Creighton coaches and Yavapai coaches are putting on the Coaches Clinic. That's going to be from noon to 1 at the complex. And then the match between the two, Creighton and Yavapai, 3 p.m. the start time, also at the Sanford Complex. Coach Johnny Torres, our guest. Coach, blast to have you on the air here in Sioux Falls. It's a blast to welcome you to Sioux Falls. I hope that this goes really, really well this year, and you guys come back and see us. We are excited, immensely excited to have you here in the 605. Thanks so much for the time. Best of luck this weekend, and we hope to see you again here soon.
Thank you, Bert. Yeah, we're excited to come out, and we hope it's the start of something beautiful that we can continue to do into the future.
It's going to be a ton of fun here in Sioux Falls over the weekend. Again, Kids Clinic, Coaches Clinic, and a match. Creighton Blue Jays men's soccer, Yavapai, 3 p.m. on Saturday. But before then, you can get the kids involved. Ages 7 through 13 for this kids camp. $65 per camper is the cost. Saturday, 9:40 a.m. check-in time. 10 o'clock is the start of the kids camp, and that runs from 10 to noon at the Sanford Complex. Stick around for you coaches out there, for you aspiring coaches. Coaches Clinic, run by both staffs of Yavapai and Creighton, will be from noon to 1, and it's an all-day affair. 3 o'clock is the kickoff at the Sanford Complex between Yavapai and Creighton coming up on Saturday, April the 13th. That is tomorrow. So if you're looking to get in on the action, looking to register, the best place to go, once again, sanfordsports.com/events. Creighton and Yavapai soccer, men's soccer programs coming, hosting a kids clinic, coaches clinic, and competing in a match, all at the Sanford Sports Complex. And I got to tell you, Sioux Falls still relatively new to me. I'm coming up on 2 years, haven't been here, and I got to tell you, out and about and witnessing the growth of Sioux Falls is so darn palpable. And one of the many reasons and one of the many kind of benefits of that growth is getting the ability to have these events year in and year out. We saw, of course, Iowa and Utah men's basketball. The Iowa Hawkeye women are coming to town for Sanford. And we get all sorts of cool stuff here, whether that's the ice hockey regionals a couple weeks ago, the Summit League tournament year in and year out, the NSIC tournament, all sorts of marquee sporting events. And it's only going to get bigger and it's only going to get better. Special thanks to Creighton, to Yavapai for making it out to Sioux Falls, and of course, for Sanford for putting this on. It's going to be Creighton and Yavapai tomorrow, but you got a kids clinic, coaches clinic, and the match all between 10 a.m. and 3, the start time of the match. More information, sanfordsports.com. Great stuff there from 6th year Creighton's men's soccer head coach, Johnny Torres. We'll take the break now, come back with more of this Friday edition of Overtime. Still so much going on, still so much to look forward to today on the program. We got the High Noon Showdown coming up in about a half hour. We also have the Friday Parlay getting posted up live before you know it. Opportunities to win big each and every week here on the show. We take the break, back with more of Overtime on a Friday right here on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO.
Get ESPN online. Grab your phone or call us up on your smart device. Now let's get you back to Overtime with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO.
Great chat moments ago with Creighton men's soccer head coach Johnny Torres. A reminder, more on that match, more on the camps put on tomorrow at the Sanford Sports Complex, sanfordsports.com/events. Get the kids out there. If you're an aspiring coach or a current coach, you can head out as well. And then the match gets going 3 o'clock tomorrow from the Sanford Sports Complex. Now for an update on the big event driving all the eyeballs and all the TVs this weekend. The Masters, round number 2 for just about everyone right now. We'll dive into the scoreboard in just a second, but wanted to update you on where Tiger was at the beginning of his day. And what I mean by that is at the conclusion of his official first round. Tiger had a disappointing ending to his opening round of the 88th Masters this morning. The 5-time green jacket winner will not have much time to bounce back, and now he's already midway through round number 2, currently has a birdie putt on the par 5 8th. Sitting at 2 over par, and no surprise, as he has lately in his career and looking to bounce back to prominence, he's flirting with the cut line projection right there at +2. Keep you posted really quickly on what Tiger does for this birdie putt. Looks to be about a 6 or 8 footer. Doing the play-by-play via the TV here. Again, the Masters ESPN TV. Tiger currently 2 over and now 1 over as he nails the putt there. But Woods, the 48-year-old, was the first golfer in the practice area this morning as he prepared to play the final 5 holes of the first round, which was suspended last night because of darkness. Woods was 1 under when he resumed the round at 6:50 a.m. Central Time, and he quickly made bogey on the par 4 14th and finished with another one on the par 4 18th. And Woods opened the day tied for 36th at 1 over 73 after 18 holes, and that's where he's remains now through 8 holes in round number 2. So there's the latest on Tiger Woods and where he stands in this Masters. And by the way, I brought it up in the open and would love to get some takes from you guys, whether it's over social media or on the phone line, 605-362-3776. Is it fair? And again, I know there's going to be a lot of people saying it's just circumstantial. It is what it is. But is it fair for guys to have to split up their rounds due to the weather and then immediately have to play the next day and conclude that round? You get out of your rhythm, you get out of your focus, you get out of your zone, you got to go sleep, come back, warm up again, and conclude the round, and then you got to play bonus holes that day as well. It seems pretty darn disadvantageous for those golfers, and I'm wondering if there's somebody out there that might have a really, really good alternative to this current method that they do things with when there are weather delays, weather concerns at a big golf tournament. 605-362-3776. Tiger Woods, not the only one. Certainly a long list of golfers that were delayed last night, had to play this morning, finish up the round, and then play an entire round piggybacking on that. Very tough for Tiger in particular and anyone else that's dealing with nagging injuries or nagging limitations and playing 18 holes a day, and now he's got to play, 23, 24 holes today at the Masters. Update here atop the leaderboard. Tiger Woods currently +1. Cut line projected at +2. That'll, of course, be at the end of round number 2. Bryson DeChambeau through 2 holes. He's still your leader, and he's even on the day, 7 under par, but he does share that spot with Max Homa. Homa 2 under through 8 today. He's also 7 under. Scotty Scheffler, 6 under par. He gets going here in about 1 hour with his round for the day. Other guys near the top, Cameron Young, Danny Willett, Cameron Davis, Colin Morikawa up near the top as well. All those golfers 2 under or better right now. Leaders are at 7 under, Homa and DeChambeau. As I look to get my voice in order here, again, Tiger Woods +1. Other notable names, Patrick Cantlay, Tony Finau, Rory McIlroy, Matt Fitzpatrick, all 4 of those still have yet to tee off, and they are 1 under through their first day of action. And as we look around that cut line right now, it gets pretty interesting. Even par, Sergio Garcia, Justin Thomas, Xander Schauffele, one of the favorites, played even yesterday, has yet to tee off. Other guys around that even mark, +1. John Rahm, that's a surprise. Phil Mickelson, +1. Wyndham Clark, same boat. And then you look at that cut line, +2. Not a whole lot of golfers there anymore. Jake Knapp and Austin Eckroat lead off there. Jason Day, Adam Scott on the other side at +3. And then some big names are in big trouble right now at the bottom of the leaderboard. Of course, some of the big names of the past, Emiliano Grillo, Fred Couples are +11, +13 area. Dustin Johnson, +9. Right now, Jordan Spieth +7. So those guys look like they will have an early exit from this year's Master. Justin Rose +5 as well. Ricky Fowler +4. Zach Johnson +4. And one guy that I told you I had some confidence in, Shane Lowry, not looking too good. +3, +4 overall, +3 today for Shane Lowry as of right now. That's the latest update from the Masters. Again, in case you missed it, Tiger Woods recently made a birdie putt to draw back to even today. He's +1 overall, sits him in a tie for 35th. And atop the leaderboard, it's still Max Homa and Bryson DeChambeau, 7 under par apiece. And Scotty Scheffler is coming. A lot of work to do, and he's the odds-on favorite still at the Masters, 6 under par after 1 day. He begins his round in about an hour from Augusta National Golf Club. Now let's go back to the NFL. Coming up next, draft previews for the Dolphins and the Steelers, and much, much more as we round out hour number 1 of Overtime on a Friday.
Overtime is in the middle of your workday. Unwrap your sandwich and get caught up with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you. It's the Friday edition of Overtime. Stay tuned. Top of the hour, High Noon Showdown and headlines. Opportunity for you to win big. High Noon Showdown always brought to you by the all-new Uncle Ed's Specialty Meats. Get your hands on some great high-quality meats at Uncle Ed's and get your grilling game elevated just in time for the warm weather. Now for the latest from the National Football League, including one headline that makes me go, really? Tom Brady said he was retiring from football for good back in early February of 2023, but he may have been having second thoughts. In an appearance on the Deep Cut podcast released yesterday, Brady was asked by host Vic Blends whether he would pick up the phone if a team called in the event of an injury. I'm not opposed to it, Brady said. I don't know if they're going to let me if I become the owner of an NFL team. I'm always going to be in good shape. I'll always be able to throw the ball. So to come in for a little bit, like MJ coming back, I don't know if they would let me, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. Blends proposed a scenario where the Niners might need a quarterback headed into the playoffs. And then Brady also mentioned the Patriots, now that Belichick is gone, and the Raiders before giving his answer. In May of 2023, Brady reached an agreement with Raiders owner Mark Davis to join the organization's ownership group, which is still pending NFL approval. That approval has yet to come. Commissioner Roger Goodell saying at March's annual meeting that the league does, quote, goes through a very thorough process, and he believed it's been making progress. The 46-year-old also plans to begin work as a sports broadcaster at Fox Sports over the summer. Brady referenced his upcoming work at Fox Sports on the podcast, saying, I love having this challenge to try something different in my life. It's going to challenge me in a lot of different ways. But Tom Brady is not done just yet. He says, hey, I'm open to the possibility of maybe a plug and play down the stretch. Somebody gets dinged up. They need somebody to come in. Tom Brady might not just yet be done with the National Football League. Now for a big announcement from the National Football League today as well. 3 quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May, are among the 13 players who have accepted invitations to be in attendance at the NFL Draft in Detroit in a couple of weeks. USC's Caleb Williams, the 2022 Heisman Trophy winner, is the presumptive number 1 pick of the Bears when the draft kicks off for the first of 3 days on Thursday, April the 25th. Local time coverage, 7 o'clock, ESPN, ABC, and on ESPN Sioux Falls. LSU's Daniels, who won the Heisman last season, and North Carolina's Drake May are expected to follow directly after at picks 2 and 3, which are held right now by the Commanders and the Patriots. Receivers will also be well represented. Ohio State's Marvin Harrison Jr., also joined by LSU teammates Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and Washington's Rome Odunze. 3 Alabama players, linebacker Dallas Turner, cornerback Terrion Arnold, and defensive tackle J.C. Latham are also scheduled to be in attendance, and the other guys making it out there, UCLA linebacker Leatu Latu, Toledo cornerback Quinyon Mitchell, and Missouri defensive lineman Darius Robinson will also be in attendance. The NFL Draft begins on Thursday the 25th for the first round, followed by the second and third rounds on Friday, and the draft concludes on Saturday the 27th with rounds 4 through 7. And I got to tell you, the less players that they invite, the more exclusive it makes it, and the more guarantee you have that these guys won't be put on blast and shown on TV constantly, waiting in the green room. It can be stressful, it can be embarrassing, it can be maddening. Just ask the Geno Smiths, the Will Levises of the world, and even Aaron Rodgers, a guy that had to wait the majority of the first round after he was supposed to be pick 1 or pick 2. Just ask them about that experience. It is rough. I'm glad that the NFL has just 13 players attending the draft, and the players obviously given the option to attend. There's a lot of top prospects, including Joe Alt and Brock Bowers, and guys that will go in the top 10 that did not accept an invitation. Just 13 heading to the NFL Draft. News from the NFL as well. The Las Vegas Raiders are the most likely NFL destination for Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. if the betting odds are to be believed. The Raiders are the plus 380 favorites to draft the Washington signal caller, ahead of the Minnesota Vikings and Denver Broncos that come in at plus 470, the Giants at plus 650, and the Seahawks and Saints at plus 1,000 and 1,100 respectively, according to FanDuel. So the Raiders, most likely, according to the betting odds, to draft Michael Penix. I think that says a lot more about where they're picking, more so than their preference. The Raiders are in the teens right now at number 13, whereas all those other teams that were mentioned, the Broncos, the Minnesota Vikings, the Giants, and everyone else ahead of them that needs a quarterback, more than likely a better shot to get those top 4 guys, McCarthy, May, Jaden Daniels, and, of course, Caleb Williams. 2 teams right now that don't need quarterbacks, at least not immediately. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Miami Dolphins are up to bat in our pair of draft previews per day as we count you down to the NFL Draft. The Miami Dolphins hold pick number 21 in the first round. They've got 6 total picks in the NFL Draft this year, finished 11-6 with a playoff appearance and a really cold environment loss in Kansas City in the postseason. Miami 11-6 last year, 6 total picks. They've got a first, a second, no picks in the third, no picks in the fourth. They've got a single pick in the fifth, 2 picks in the sixth, and 1 pick in the seventh. When it comes to team needs for Miami, you can look at offensive line. That's tackle, guard, and center. You can also look at defensive line interior, defensive line pass rushers, as well as tight end on the offensive side. So the obvious fits early in the draft for Miami are any tackle that might fall in their lap at pick 21. They're in that sweet spot. There will be tackles available. Reportedly, according to Matt Miller and several other draft analysts, there could be as many as 10 collegiate tackles that could go in the first round, round and a half, and likely to be 8 collegiate tackles. And why do I say collegiate there is because They played tackle in college, but they might be a tweener. They might be a limited athlete at the NFL, might be limited in size, might be limited in arm length or overall athleticism to play tackle in the NFL. They might kick inside to guard, and maybe, just maybe, some of these guys might be viewed as more of a center as well. But they've got options with Fashanu, Graham Barton, Fatunu of Washington, or Tyler Guyton of Oklahoma at tackle. Those are the big names that are likely to be around that spot at pick 21. Defensive tackle Jerzon Newton of Illinois is a stud. He's been falling a little bit, but I like his fall to stop there at Miami. That would be a pretty premier pick, especially as they look to replace Christian Wilkins, Chris Braswell, the edge rusher, Leatu Latu of UCLA, extraordinary athletic pass rusher, could certainly help the Dolphins. And lastly, at guard, a pair of the top guards in this draft class. You got Cooper Beebe from Kansas State, Mason McCormick, Sioux Falls native, South Dakota State alum, and again, Haynes, the kid from UConn, are probably three of the top 4 or 5 guards in the NFL draft this year. That could make a lot of sense for Miami. The Dolphins pick at number 21. Pick 20 is held by the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've got 7 picks in the draft, playoff appearance, 10-7 their record last year. Their picks this year, a little bit wealthier in terms of value than Miami. They've got a first rounder, a second rounder, 2 picks in the third, a fourth, and 2 picks in the 6th round this year. Steelers need another wide receiver. Anyone that falls into their lap, look out for the Steelers to potentially trade up a few spots. If Rome Odunze falls out of the top 10, Pittsburgh won't have to get too much to give up to pick 20 to pick 10, pick 12, pick 13, pick 14 to get Rome Odunze of Washington. Cornerback is a huge need for Pittsburgh this year. Kool-Aid McKinstry, maybe somebody in the second round, maybe my guy, the guy that I want the Packers to get, Cooper DeJean. Any tackle that might fall to them is also a fit. And then at center, the Steelers need some help there. Jackson Powers Johnson, the best center in the draft. Zach Frazier of West Virginia right there with them. There's some options in the early rounds, mid-rounds, and late rounds at the guy that snaps the football on the offensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Those are your draft previews. Dolphins and Steelers, picks 21 and 20 respectively. And that rounds out hour number 1, which means it's time to duke it out with the High Noon Showdown coming up right now. Give me a call. Caller 2, caller 4. We'll duke it out with the High Noon Showdown coming up next. Opportunity to win big. It's a gift certificate to the all-new Uncle Ed's Specialty Meats out there on the east side of Sioux Falls. 605-362-3776. I've also got a pair of tickets to the upcoming Whiskey Myers concert. You want to be caller 2, caller number 4 right now to duke it out with the High Noon Showdown and start your weekend off right with a win and with a big prize pack from us here on Overtime. 605-362-3776. The number to get in on the High Noon Showdown, which is next. 605-362-3776.